Hey, what's going on? Welcome to ngAir. I am your host, Justin Schwarzenberger, rocking a headset today. My output for my audio is not working through my speakers, so I'm a airplane control person. I don't know what they're called, whatever. Anyways, how's it going? Good to be here. We got a good episode today. We're going to be talking about the Angular Denver conference, so it should be good. Getting into that. First, let's say hi to our panelists, and then we'll meet our guests. Joining us today, we've got Mike Brocky. Mike, what's going on?
Not too much. Excited. I'm in conference mode after last week and ready to talk about actually the next conference I'll be attending, which is Angular Denver and air traffic controller. Just a little helpful.
All right. You are clear for landing here on the okay, that's it. I'm not gonna make any more jokes about the headset.
I don't think it's the controller. I think it's the guy with the two little deals out. Yeah, that's the guy.
That's a good call. Good call. All right. I'm working out there. Okay. Austin McDaniel, what's going on?
How's it going, everyone? I am super excited about Angular Denver because it's like one of my favorite Angular shirts that I got last year. It was like a Space Invader. I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
It was awesome, though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Man. And our guest today, Jesse Sanders. Jesse, how's it going?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing great. I'm having a great day today. Feeling great and really excited to be here and talk about Angular Denver and all the cool stuff going on with that. And much like Brocky, I'm still in conference mode from last week and leaving tomorrow for another conference. So it's just like nonstop craziness lately, but really excited to be here.
Awesome. Not nonstop conference mode. That's crazy. What conference last week were you busy with?
Well, I think we all know what we're talking about here. We're talking about ngConf. I think this is my third or fourth year going to ngConf and absolutely loved it. Had a great experience. Breebug, my company, also sponsored, so had that side of it and just saw so many great talks. And then since I've been back, I've been watching videos like crazy to catch all the talks that I couldn't see while doing some other stuff. So
awesome. Yeah, I know. I'm still trying to catch up on watching all the videos. There's so many, and so many good ones, and working in that time for sure. You had a talk as well, right? Is this one talk?
Yeah, I actually had two little things. I had a talk, I believe that was on Thursday with Joe Eames, and we talked about one of my favorite subjects lately, which is Cypress.io. And so we did a 1-hour introduction to Cypress where we got to teach people how to go from zero to hero with Cypress and be able to write some tests. And honestly, with my good friend Joe, it was like a nonstop comedy act for all 59 minutes. And I think there was like 1 minute in there that we were actually serious. So it was awesome. I also taught a 1-day advanced NGRX workshop before ngConf actually officially kicked off. And so that was an absolutely great experience. If you've never created a 1-day workshop, wow, stressful, so much work to do, all the example code, all the pieces to go into it. And it pulled it off and went really well. I was very, very happy with how it went. So yeah, I'm just kind of recovering now from ngConf, and I'm turning around and flying to London tomorrow to go to the International JavaScript Conference to speak about Cypress again, and also talk about. I believe I'm doing a talk on. I'm blanking here. It's Angular with a service with a subject. So teaching people how to do that pattern.
Very nice. Very nice, man. So multiple talks in the pipeline, right? Like, do you find that challenging to try and keep those different subject matters, in your head and ready to switch?
Yeah, it is a bit of a challenge, and it seems like there's always a new challenge that's going on, and that I'm having to stay fresh on. It's the good news is that it's a really long flight over to London, so I have a lot of time to sit down and go back over the talks. Tweak them a little bit, make any changes. So it's great going to ngConf and I, taught let's say my advanced NGRX workshop, and there's pieces in there that I taught on behavior subject and service with a subject, and I'll be taking and modifying little tweaks and whatnot, and that helps me refresh and get ready for that. And same on my Cypress talk that I'm doing. I'm really interested on the talk I'm doing in London, which is Cypress and visual testing. And so that's a really cool feature using another product called Percy. So Percy IO is super cool, gives you a whole workflow to your visual tests, and it just blows my mind like what you can do with this stuff. So, but definitely challenging. You've been there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So
So
that
what's-
visual testing, is that like screenshots and then comparing that sort of thing?
Yeah. So while we're already using Cypress and we're stubbing out what our inputs are for our data, what's beautiful with snapshot or not snapshot testing, but Cypress visual testing with this Percy product is I can say, hey, capture a snapshot, and it'll actually take that snapshot, upload it to the cloud, and then they'll do a comparison between what the base was and what it is now. I can flip back and forth between those, and I can go through and approve or disapprove each one. I can integrate that back into GitHub for my PR process with the GitHub hooks. It's just a beautiful thing. I can see Austin shaking his head yes and loving it. What do you think, Austin? Have you done this? Have you done this yet?
Yeah, I didn't actually use Cypress for it. I used Storybook. So you can use Storybook to like snapshot them and then compare them with Percy.
Nice.
I'm a huge Storybook guy. Like they are doing some really cool stuff, and the project is really taking off. And for those of you who don't know what Storybook is, it's like a component documentation demo tool. So as you're building out like your components, you can build them out in isolation, and then you get this like nice demo page you can deploy and give to designers and people like that.
Nice. I have not seen that. That sounds really cool. I have to check that out.
Yeah, I was just seeing an article about using that with Applitools, APPLITOOLS, for doing that visual screenshot testing along with Storybook and the automation thing. So yeah, pretty cool space for sure.
That's really awesome.
So with assembling all of these different talks and traveling all over the place, are you also going to be presenting at Angular Denver?
That is.
I know that maintaining and running the conference and organizing takes a bit of a toll, but I wasn't sure if you were doing both.
It does. I will probably have a talk prepared. I'm not sure if there's going to be a slot available for me. If somebody happens to drop out, we have a ton of speakers coming this year, and so although I hope I hope and I see every single speaker making it, but there's always a possibility we could have somebody drop out. That's probably what I'm going to do, is that if that happens, I'll take one of those slots and I'll come in and speak. But the people here in Denver get to see me speak probably far too much as it is. So I'm trying to give them a break and let them see somebody else for a change. So
That sounds interesting. They're seeing you speak. That sounds like there might be some history there in terms of how Angular Denver came about and stuff.
yeah, actually, there's a ton of history. It really started back in 2015. So August of 2015, I'd reached out and said, look, I want to see the meetup group become more consistent. We were doing meetups, I think, on average about every other month. And I said, what would you think if I started hosting one at Breebug? And we made sure we always had at least one meetup every single month. And there's a little hemming and hawing when no one was really too sure and no one really knew who I was. And I was like, the alternative is I can create, my own meetup group or that's also Angular, but I'd rather work with you. And so I got to know the organizers, and they brought me on with open arms. And I think about a year later, both of them had already moved on. One had a kid, and the other one got super busy with work, and it just sort of fell upon me. So I was looking actually through our YouTube channel and realized that we even started recording our sessions clear back in 2015. So we have almost 4 years of presentations that are available on YouTube, that we've recorded those and made them available for free to the public to be able to check those out.
Is there any Angular 3 ones in there?
No Angular 3. No, I'm still waiting for Angular 3 to come out so I can release some of these really cool talks that I have. I bet Brocky's got some talks on Angular 3 as well.
Just for context here for our viewers, right? Well, Mike, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to plug in a really bad joke, so I'll just let that slide. I have a few things in my back pocket. We'll leave it at that.
Excellent.
So I was just going to say, just for context for our viewers, there was no Angular 3 ever released. That was skipped, right? And so,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case, right?
Yeah. So, the main thing that I want to do with it is I always wanted to make sure we had somebody to speak. So I was always speaking because we didn't always have speakers set up. We did a lot to push to get other speakers in. And I think since actually getting to a conference level in terms of putting on a conference and understanding what it really takes to get speakers, I think we've gotten a lot better at making sure that we have a lot more community involvement and getting speakers from the community come in and speak. So, yeah, so that's where it all kind of started and kind of got me on a start to speaking. So about 2 years into that, we decided that we would get involved in Angular Mix. I didn't really understand the CFP process. At that time, I'd never spoke outside of, the local meetups. And we decided to go ahead and do a sponsorship and pay for a sponsor talk. Because I'm like, no one's going to pick me for a CFP because nobody knows who I am. And I didn't realize that actually with the topic that I had submitted for, that they probably would have picked it, that it would have had a pretty good chance. So I ended up speaking on it was NGRX Entity, which at the time still officially had not been released. About 7 days after I did the talk, they released it. Some really interesting and funny things that came out of this is that some people thought I wrote Entity. I had to get that corrected very quickly. I was like, no, I did not write this. But yeah, it was a great talk. And I went back to my booth. So we were, I had a sponsor booth and I was sitting there and this gentleman comes up and starts chatting with me. And just, hey, did a great talk, talking to me about it. Hey, you should really come speak at NGConf. And I'm looking at his name badge. I'm like, okay, I don't know who this is. I've never heard this guy before. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I'd love to. I'd love to submit. And it's like, hey, do you ever speak at all? And he tells me later, he laughs. He's like, oh, this person really has no idea who I am. So who I'm speaking of is Joe Eames. He saw me do this talk and invited me to come speak at Angular Denver at NGConf. And then I invited him to come to Denver. I was like, would you come to Denver, come speak? And we'd like to do a evening of Angular. And he said, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And about a month goes by and I haven't heard from him. And then out of the blue, I get this hello from Utah message. And he's like, hey, I'd love to come do that. Let's do this. And so about a month and a half later, we held our first evening of Angular. We had two of my very good friends, Aaron Frost and Joe Eames, come to Denver and give two amazing talks. It was really, really great. What we decided early on with this whole bringing speakers to Denver is that we wanted to run it as a nonprofit. And so that any sort of profits that came out of this would be donated. So it was really great as we were able to donate over $1,500 to a local kids tech charity. And they never even saw it coming, right? We invited them to the next meetup, handed them a check, and it's great. The other fun thing that happened with it, we decided that we since they made the trip out, that we would do something fun for them. So we took them snowmobiling. So we took them up to Vail, took them snowmobiling, had such an amazing time snowmobiling. We went to dinner, coming back, there's this massive snowstorm. We almost died. You can't see the road. Ask either one of them about the drive in Vail during this massive snowstorm. It's just crazy. But the great thing is I got to know two amazing people that taught me about like community first and what it meant to run something like this.
I appreciate you alleviating the concerns within the story. We hit this massive snowstorm. We almost died, followed by laughter. So it's kind of like, hey, this story is going to end well. Don't worry about it. We'll get through the story together. But you don't have to worry about everybody being okay because I'm already laughing about it.
Right.
That's really cool that you did the donation thing. I was just looking, or I just saw something the other day about how instead of like conferences giving out swag, they're like making donations to like charities and things like that instead, because I don't know about you, but I have enough of these hoodies and random pins. I would much rather see that go to other people that, you know, could use that.
Yeah, that's been really important for us, and that's something that we've continued to do. We like to give out a little bit of swag, and typically, if we do that, we take it directly out of. So, for those of you who don't know, I have a company called Breebug. We are Angular experts, and we do consulting to help people build enterprise applications. And we will take funds from Breebug and pay for some swag, like T-shirts. So, like this one here is our Color Burst from Evening of Angular 2019. And one of our favorite shirts. I believe actually we're going to open up an online store that would allow us to be able to, if people want to buy them, because we got a lot of response from people at ngConf that want them. And then we're going to turn around and donate that money towards either Kids in Tech, or some of it will go towards our local Rocky Mountain Angular meetup for being able to do something special with them. So since then, basically, we've done 2 more Evening of Angular events. We did one a couple months. So we did the first one in January, and we did another one in April. We had Dan Walleen and Chuck Max Wood come out. The community loved it. This time we were able to donate over $2,000 to a local charity. And so we were able to do really well there. So then we kind of had a challenge, and this is where really Evening of Angular turned into Angular Denver. And we had 8 speakers asking to come at the end of July, the 1st of August. And I was going to have to go through the list and tell 6 people no, or forget, just invite them all. Right. And so we went ahead with the latter. Let's invite all of them. We ended up asking 4 more speakers to come. And I want to give a big props to Joe Eames on this, because I sat down and talked with him about the plan and laid out our exact plan for this, because I hear other people trying to put conferences on and maybe not so successfully. They end up losing a lot of money. And I submitted a plan and worked through it with Joe, and he really helped me to see, like, hey, how can we make this successful? And the other big thing is that we wanted to make it accessible. The number one thing that we hear from like local developers here in Denver, because I ask people almost every time, like, who's been to ngConf, who's going, and then we'll end up talking about it later. And I'll have a lot of people come up and say, it's just not affordable for me. When they look at the price of a ticket, the airfare, plus their hotel, you're in for $2,000, $2,500 or more, depending on where you're coming from. And so for a lot of people that don't work for companies that will pay for this, it gets outside of their price range of what would be possible. So when we did the first Angular Denver, we did it for $100 per ticket. So there wasn't a lot of swag. I don't think there was any swag, actually. Well, we had the T-shirts. We had T-shirts.
The T-shirts was my favorite.
Yeah, right.
My favorite shirts.
I collect all of our shirts that we make for these, because they are my favorite shirts. They're so cool.
I don't, and you know what? Like, I don't feel like anyone cared, right? Like, we were all like, yeah, let's just have a good time and, you know, hang out with each other. That was one of the big things that I really liked about Angular Denver Conf was like everyone kind of just went together. Like, it was small enough where, you know, people could actually hang out with, you know, different people that they might not get a chance to at a bigger conference and thing like that.
Yeah, it's very intimate. I love it because the speakers can easily integrate with the attendees, and there's great conversations going on, and you don't feel like the speakers rushing off to have to talk to somebody else, or all these other events that are pulling their attention away. So that was some of the feedback that we got. The great thing about that first Angular Denver, we sold out about a month before the conference. And the surprising thing that we weren't really anticipating is that, and we don't have official numbers because we weren't tracking this, but we had about 25% of the audience were women. And so we had a much higher level of women attendees, and we were just absolutely delighted by that. And that's again one of our goals for this year is how do we make sure that we continue to create a place of inclusion where everybody feels like it's a great place to learn. We all feel safe. I mean, it all starts with a code of conduct, but also starts with how do we present this and make it so that it is inclusive. So yeah. And I'm glad you had a great time. And I know I want to say and just announce it right now. We've got Angular Denver coming up in this August on the 1st and the 2nd, and we have over 45 speakers, and two of the speakers, maybe actually a third speaker, are actually all here on this. So Mike Brocky and Schwarty here are both actually scheduled to do a talk together, and I'm so excited to have both of you coming, and we're working on getting Austin there. But yeah, so we've got 2 days of workshops and we've expanded to 2 full days of conference. So very exciting.
Yeah, we're
I'm not
excited
very
to
good at
see
planning
what-
ahead.
I didn't catch either one of what'd you say?
Go ahead, Austin.
I said I'm not very good at planning ahead, so
And to continue on that, actually, Justin and I are actually pretty curious to figure out what we're actually going to speak about this year. So,
Well, hold on. We know. Let everybody know. We've got an awesome idea. And we're starting to implement that. And this is going to be our first time speaking together. I'm so totally looking forward to that. I can't wait.
aside from about like 94 episodes of ngAir.
Yeah, let me correct that. Thank you. This is going to be our first conference talk on stage together where you and I are presenting the same topic for X amount of minutes. Is that better?
This is true. Yes.
That's awesome. Now, Mike, I know you've done a lot of 2 presenter talks. Justin, how about you? Have you done those?
Actually, to be clear, I've done it once. And that was last week.
I think he means like 2 or greater.
Oh, 2 or more. Yeah, I did. I did share the stage a couple of times.
More than one, more than you, right?
Yes.
For me, this will be my first co-presenting at a conference. I've done it at meetup groups and stuff like that. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
it's it was such a great dynamic. That was at ngConf this year with Joe Eames. That was the first time I'd ever done a co-presenter, and so much fun. I actually might like that even more so than doing a talk by myself. Definitely able to feed off of each other. So hopefully we can get all the comedy and greatness out of you two for this talk, and it'll just be awesome.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting, being a speaker when you're up there and by yourself, like you hear feedback, from the audience who's not as kind of. I mean, I get kind of engrossed in my delivery, so It's hard to tell, like, are they people vibing on it? But I mean, you're essentially talking like to yourself. And this is something too, I've done some streaming recently, and it's the same sort of deal. You have people watching and the chat's going, but you're really just like having this conversation with yourself. And so I think it would be interesting to have somebody on stage where you're presenting and you're riffing across with each other. So you actually have a little bit of that human feedback, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've co-presented once at like a private event, and it was really good because none of my jokes landed, and the other guy was like just basically making fun of me at the same time. So it was like a really good back and forth.
That's awesome.
I think when you're doing something like that, you have to just give up your cares and your concerns about yourself and your own well-being, and it's for the sake of the audience. So if the person you're presenting with is dogging on you and the audience is loving it, it's about what the audience is going to enjoy, right?
Right. Absolutely.
I guess so you can just go and cry later, or what?
Yeah, I don't know if that is previewing anything that's going to happen between Justin and I on stage at ngAir Denver. I hope not. I hope it goes well, and that our jokes are about other things and not each other. But who knows? Time will tell.
Oh, it'll be the suspense.
Yeah. So I guess maybe we need to get some details about, you're giving a little bit, but like some more details about the conference, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So basically what I was telling everything before was all like kind of the history. And there was one event I left out, like the evening of Angular 2019, that I showed the cool shirt for, the Angular color burst. But yeah, so now kind of getting into the details of Angular Denver. So we decided that we wanted to change it up a little bit. One is we wanted to expand it from a 1-day conference to a 2-day conference. And we also then wanted to open up the workshops and offer 1 or 2 more tracks than what we did. I think we had 3 different workshops you could sign up for last year. And this year we have 2 full days, 5 different, 4 major tracks and 2. Yeah. So 4 2-day tracks and 2 1-day tracks that you could go to. So we have 5 rooms that will be completely filled with these. So these start on July 30th and go through the 31st. We have RxJS being taught by a couple of core team members for RxJS, Michael Lackey and Jan. I don't know Jan's last name. I don't remember off the top of my head here. I feel really bad about that. We have ngRx 2-day workshop being taught by Mike and Brandon. We have Angular architecture class. This was like actually it wasn't this was the most popular class at ngConf. I think they had over 150 attendees. And that's going to be taught by Dan Wallin. We have Angular fundamentals class that's going to be taught. I'm not exactly sure who's going to teach that yet, but most likely it will be one of the Breebug employees, or maybe Austin's going to come in and do that one. I'm not sure yet. That's how we get Austin there. I will be teaching an advanced ngRx class again, and then Joe Eames will be teaching a unit testing like a boss workshop. So what I want to stress about the workshops is if you go to a big conference, that these workshops are typically going to cost you $500 per day. And so what we wanted to do here is make these, again, more accessible to more people. And so the cost for the workshops is $300 per day. So those prices do go up as we get closer and closer to the conference. But if you purchase them now, up until between, I think now and June 15th or so, that, how do you get your, how to get your boss to write your unit test for you? I like that. That is a good, I think I could write a 2-day workshop on that one. So the pricing will go up right around, I think, June 15th or July 1st, somewhere in that neighborhood. But right now they're $300 per day for these. And so you're basically at about 60% of the usual cost. Then we get into the actual conference. The conference kicks off on August 1st. We have 45 speakers coming. So how did we go from 12 speakers to 45? And we just went with one more day. Well, we decided that the 45-minute talk length probably wasn't ideal, that we wanted to shorten the talk length and get it down to 25-minute talks. So we'd have 25-minute talks and we have 10-minute lightning talks kind of sprinkled in there. And then we found that when we've done this with other events, that we find people are more engaged. It forces the speaker to really cut to the chase, get to the point, and that people are getting just as much learning out of it, but they're not having to sit through a 45-minute talk. And this
for the record, it is harder to write a 25-minute talk.
It is
5-minute talk.
It is, because you got to get real clear about your message, real clear about the message. And I understand this. I have been doing 45-minute talks for most of my speaking career here, and doing 25-minute talks. Wow. It just really have to up my game and get really clear and concise about what I'm going to say. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for the speakers. And we understand that. So that's how we ended up with over 45 speakers. We have 7 local speakers from the community coming in. We have 11 international speakers. So last year we had 0 international speakers. So 11 international speakers, that's huge. And I think, I haven't done the official count. I got to think it's over 15 Angular GDEs that are coming to speak at Angular Denver. Now, if I can get everybody to do this with me, crossing fingers, the Google team members, we got some Google team members that are potentially coming. We're still working on that. We have a potential conflict with a big team meeting that they might have, but we're working with DevRail to figure that out and see what we can do to make that work. So last year we had Rob Wormald come out and speak and give the keynote. And so I'm going to be
Rob's talk last year was really awesome. He said he had this talk that he was going to do, right?
uh-huh.
And then he's like, no, I don't want to do that one. And like rewrote it the night of and basically talked about like Google shopping, how they like redid that. And that was such a good talk.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, so we've got some of the biggest names in the industry that are coming. You know, two of them sitting here, Schwarty, Brocky, like huge. And I don't think you guys like we're all just kind of sitting here and chatting, but it's hard to we sometimes I think lose track that people that don't regularly go to conferences but know like they see the contributions that we're making that they're starstruck by getting a chance to see you speak in Denver and to be able to sit down and have a snack or a coffee with you and hang out and chat a little bit, and so just a lot of that is because it just has never been available to them, of having speakers come to Denver. So we got a couple other cool things that are going on with this. Pluralsight is going to come in and record all the sessions. So we've got like the best of the best of the best in terms of doing big conference recordings. So very excited to have them come in and do that. For attendees, they'll actually get a code that they can use and they'll be able to watch all the videos of all the talks over and over as much as they want. And they'll be free for them. So what's nice about this is this actually helps us, instead of us having to pay for recording, they're actually helping to pay for the recording. And so that gives us additional budget to be able to do more donations or do more things for the attendees. So we're very excited about that. So with that, we're going to have a few more social and networking events. So since we're at a 2-day format, we'll have some social events going into on the night of the first, going into the second. So who knows? It is a rock star theme. Is the theme for this, which is appropriate. We got some great rock stars here. We got so many great rock stars coming in. So we'll probably have karaoke and a few things like that going on for us to all participate in. And it's really about how can we get people together, talking more, networking more, hanging out with speakers more, and getting those interactions going. So I got to say, like my favorite thing from this past NG Conf is just how much time I spent talking with people, hearing, asking questions about what are you doing? What do what's your favorite thing? What's your biggest challenges? And hearing like what do they want? What are they trying to do? So we want to recreate that sort of environment with Angular Denver as well, and then do it in such a smaller venue where it feels even more natural, and it just works. It's really easy.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I look forward to all the time with these conferences, and especially every time I go speak and stuff, is the interaction with people and talking shop. And it's like, most of us off in our daily routines, we don't have that access to a lot of people to do that sort of general discussion. And for me, it's so exciting and so valuable to just geek out on those things and to have an opportunity to help people solve things. A lot of times I'll get people that'll come up and try to encourage them, like ask questions, right? And when people come up and say, hey, I'm trying this thing at work and I hit this thing, it's like, oh, cool, I've done that. Let me see if I can help you out, right? And for me, I love doing that. So it's exciting to have those discussions, not from talking shop, but also the opportunity to help people beyond just presenting the content, right?
Absolutely.
And even for people who may not be as open and forthcoming with their problems or whatever, to just stand around and listen to those conversations, to just essentially be the fly on the wall of, hey, yeah, I'm new to Angular or anything else, or I'm just getting started, or I'm just doing this by myself. I'm trying to figure it out, and to hear the other problems that other people are having, to be able to help identify what those pitfalls may or may not be, best practices, and yeah, just generally what other people are doing.
That's such a great point. There's been so many conversations that I've just been standing there where the conversation starts to evolve and I'm just standing there listening, just going, wow, that is amazing. Like I never even thought about that. Or, I'm learning some little piece of history about how something came about and why we do the things the way that we do that just don't get, published or communicated sometimes. And so it's just great conversations like that. The other thing that I want to point out here is the 7 local speakers. I believe every single one of the 7 local speakers that we selected are people that have been coming to Evening of Angular, or they came to Angular Denver last year, and they came up to us and talked to us about speaking and getting involved. And they've started to then step up and speak locally at the meetups here with Rocky Mountain Angular is our local meetup here. And it's amazing to see them step into their greatness, if you will, of hey, I'm going to take this chance. And now I'm going to go from speaking at a little bitty meetup, and now I'm going to have a video of me speaking at a large conference. You know, I'm going to be up on a big stage in front of 200 or 300 people and have an opportunity to talk.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great to not only for people to have that experience, but for you, it has to be rewarding to be able to offer that up to people, to be able to provide that. That's not really a service, but to be able to provide the means and the local resource to be able to facilitate that
Yeah, that means a lot to
through
me.
through you personally and also for your company.
Yeah, it does. It means a lot to myself. It means a lot to my staff. So when we talk about Angular Denver, I'm sitting here talking about, all the stuff that we're doing, but what a lot of people and really nobody gets to see is all the work of our staff that put all the hours and energy into this. And so we donate all those hours, we put all that time in just to make this happen. And I do it. I just love it. I love to be a part of it. I love to help out other people and bring this to their front door where they have this opportunity, whether it be to speak, to attend, to just be a part of the community. I've been part of the technical community here in Denver for 25 years. And how this all kind of got started is I'm like, how is it that we can have such this amazing technical community, but we have nobody, hardly any technical speakers coming to Denver to speak. And even worse is like none of them are Angular. So how could we make something different of this? How could we change this and start to invite speakers? And it just started with that one little conversation of someone coming up to me after my talk and saying, "Hey, why don't you apply for ngConf?" Which then blossomed into an amazing friendship, and just so grateful and thankful to have had this opportunity. And it feels great to be able to give that opportunity to other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. I'm stoked about the fact that it's in Denver for several reasons, right? One, it's like kind of for us in the US, it's kind of a midpoint. So, two, from my small airport here, we have direct flights to Denver. So, win for me. And then three, of course, because I used to live there. So, that'll be nice going back there. But yeah, it's definitely cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be saying that today. It's snowing in May.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking projecting forward to August, right? But I don't know though. If it's snowing in May, who knows, right?
Yeah, Brecken, Brian Love, who's also one of the speakers at ngConf this year and has worked with and for Breebug for the last year and a half. He posted out on Twitter, it's Breckenridge ski area, and they had 7 inches of new snow this morning. He's like, and I'm taking the day off.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
yeah, it's Colorado. We will not be having snow in Colorado in August. That I don't think has ever happened. You can expect nice 90-degree day temperatures, and yeah. One of the other things that we're doing again for speakers is we're going to be taking a group of speakers up to the mountains. I think with 45 speakers, we're not able to take everybody. I think we take about 25% of the speakers, and we're going to go do an event up in the mountains. So if that works for you, fill out. I don't know. Do you guys fill out your speaker survey form? And so on there, it actually says, can you stay for the weekend? Would you like to be part of this event? And then depending on how many people we have say yes, then we may have to do a little bit of a lottery draw for that. But last year we took everybody ziplining on the side of a mountain. That was very interesting. And then we went and stayed up in Keystone at the Keystone Resort, and we went out to the Breckenridge Distillery. We might have partook in a couple of beverages, and Uber rides back. It's been an amazing dinner and just a way of saying thank you for coming out. And so we'll probably do something like that again.
Sounds awesome. I need to get
Yeah.
that form.
You need to get that form
I
filled
need
out.
that form too.
Perfect. Will do. Hey, the one thing I didn't say about Angular Denver for this year is what's the price for the conference? So one of the things we had to do is we had to bring the price up a little bit. So we're trying to do a few more things. One thing that happened last year is we did not supply really any food. So we didn't have lunches. So people were having to take really long breaks for people to go out for lunch for a couple hours and come back and make those kind of arrangements. And surprisingly enough, food at the hotels is not cheap. And so we've had to bring the prices up a little bit. Right now, the price for a ticket to Angular Denver is $500. And so it's still very reasonably priced. We're trying to create as much value for that as possible so that we can get as many people there as possible. The one thing I'd also like to encourage is that we will have a certain number of scholarship tickets that will be available. And if you think you're eligible or that you should be considered for a scholarship ticket, I would ask that you either reach out to myself directly at jesse.sanders@breebug.com, or you could send one to info@breebug.com. Either one of those would get you there. Also, I believe there's an email address on the website, which is just angulardenver.com.
So, you mentioned the idea of raising prices, but not only are you now providing food with the additional raising prices, but doing some quick math, you've more than tripled the number of speakers, right? So,
Yeah,
and
it's a
it's not
huge
just
cost.
and it's not just the idea of having those speakers be able to present, which is one thing, which is amazing, but it's also the ability to have those types of hallway conversations with all of those different speakers. There's a lot more of the speakers there to be able to converse with as well.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So we're gonna probably we've expanded the allotment of tickets that are available. So there's only 300 tickets available for this event plus speakers. And we're going to be at capacity with that. There's no like, hey, we can get to 350 or 400. Like this is the limitation of the venue where we're at. We're at a really cool venue in downtown Denver called the Curtis. Austin, you could probably
Is that
talk.
the one with the creepy elevator?
Oh, the elevator is awesome. You get in there and it's like you're on the Starship Enterprise themed elevator. And as you go floor to floor, they have different themes. So I stayed on the 13th floor, which was the horror floor. And as soon as you get there, it's here's Johnny. There's pictures. It's like very dark and black and red. And you turn around the corner, and it's a picture of the two girls holding knives, and there's blood written, red rum, and that was the floor that I chose to sleep at. I'm not sure if I really slept that well, but it's a really really cool hotel. Every floor is themed differently, and but anyway, enough about the hotel. I did want to throw that in there for you. The the venue's amazing, and having 45 speakers, we're basically tripling the size of the speakers, and with doing international, that's also increasing our cost to bring those speakers in. But the benefit is multiple things. One is that by shortening the talk lengths, we're able to offer a more diverse selection of talks so that there's something for everybody. So what's going to happen is actually we'll break up into two tracks each day. And so you'll have two tracks going. And you'll be able to choose between one of those two to go, see the talks. And you switch rooms all day long, just like any other conference. And then you got 50 up to 50% more attendees, but you got 3 times as many speakers to be able to go sit down and chat with and talk to them about, what your thoughts were on their talk, get clarifying questions about, what it is they said. So to me, I think it creates the ultimate conference experience where it's small, it's tight knit, and I get to engage with a lot of just brilliant people with amazing innovations.
So one other thing that you may or may not know the answer to this at this point, but you mentioned your keynote speaker from last year. So I'm curious, do you happen to know who your keynote speaker or speakers are for this year?
That is the finger crossing thing I was doing earlier with the Google team. I'm working very hard on um, getting members of the Google team to come out and talk. To me, that's really important. I think that the community um, wants and needs to feel like they're being supported by the Google team. Um, we have a very large development community here in Denver, and people are interested in hearing directly from the horse's mouth, if you will, what's going on with Angular and what can I expect. So we're working on it. We have a
I'm
soft.
gonna tell Rob that you called him a horse now.
No.
The figure of speech, Austin. From
You think a guy from Texas would know this, right? No? Okay. Oh, no, we're really pulling for it. I had a lot of great conversations. I've been working with Stephen Fluen a lot on this and looking at how do we attract the Google team to come to Denver and come speak to this community. And to me, one of the most compelling reasons is that most of the people that are here in Denver don't go to conferences. For whatever reason that is, and they'll come and they'll attend here. We also have the attendance numbers that I said before, where last year we had about 25% of the attendees were women. To me, that's a very compelling message for getting the Google team to come. So it's something that like every other conference is doing. We're all trying to pull from the same pool of speakers from the Google team. And I had a really long conversation with Stephen about this, of realizing that there's over 100 different, venues that are trying to get Google speakers to come. And they can only go to so many. So, but they're coming to Angular Denver. I'm certain of it.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
don't know if you keep calling them horses, they might not.
If you keep calling them horses. No, yeah, we're hoping. We're hoping.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, we're getting to the top of the hour. Let's get a little more details on that. I have a question. Actually, we had a question in the chat. So no live stream. Would that be correct?
We are not doing a live stream as of yet. If at the end of where we're at with budget numbers, if we can still do a donation and do live stream and be able to have that be a part of it, then we'll take a look at that and see. There is a possibility of being able to do it. We just need to look at the budget numbers. This goes back to Austin's point, where if we can donate to kids in technology and help out someone like that versus doing a live stream, that's probably the route that we would go. But we'll have to kind of wait and see what that looks like.
Cool. And then the videos that are going to get recorded, will those be publicly available, or is that a partnership with Pluralsight that where maybe people could purchase those or subscribe to those?
Yeah, they'll be able to for sure subscribe to them. I'm still getting all the details from Pluralsight on this so that I completely understand it. But they're going to come in for attendees. Definitely, they will get a code that they'll be able to use, and they can watch all the videos from it, and it's all 100% available to them. If we're working on a couple different ways where non-attendees could do it. We're also talking about doing a live stream. I think that if we for sure sell out and all 300 tickets are gone, then I can push for a live stream and say, okay, hey, now we've got some budget for that. Now I have people that would like to attend that are not able to attend, and we can push that out.
Cool. And then one more question from the chat, and then I have the CFP, the call for proposals for workshops. Will you be having that for workshops next year? Do you assume, or like are the workshops kind of something that's coordinated separate from people proposing them?
Yeah, this year we did not do a CFP for workshops. We had a few workshops that we knew for sure that we wanted to have put on. But going forward, that's something that I think we'd like to do as well, is to actually have a CFP process for workshops and take a look at what else is available. So the CFP process is really new to us this year. So last year it was pretty much just I handpicked the speakers, people that we'd had that said that wanted to come to Denver that I had made personal invites to. This year we had over about 160 speaking CFPs that came in, and it was a brutal process. I've heard, other teams, other conferences talk about this process and how difficult it is. And it is very, very tough, to look at two or three, let's say you got 8 talks that are on state management and say, okay, look, we can only have 4. And they're all of them are worthy of being up on stage. All of them have their merits, and they've made it to the final round, and it's like stake management. Yep. Everybody loves steak, Austin. This is true. And they made it to the final round, and how do we pick between these talks and try to get it narrowed down to, who's going to be up there. So we will open it up next year to CFP for workshops. I'll commit to that.
Cool. Okay. So tickets still available?
Tickets are still available. You can go to angulardenver.com. Tickets are available for workshops. They're available for the conference. Like I said, we're really expecting them to be sold out probably by July 1st. And so get them before they're gone. Would love to see you there. We're very, very excited about it this year. I'm excited to have so many amazing speakers come to Denver. And what can I say?
Awesome. And then one more thing. Do you have sponsorships roles open? So
yes. Oh, yeah, that's a great. I get so caught up with the speakers and all the exciting stuff. Yes, we have openings for sponsors. So we have booth space. We have a whole entire sponsor package that if you're interested, reach out to me. Reach out. If you get out on the angulardenver.com site, there is a sponsors link on there. You click on there, you can get more information, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. We want to have more and more people involved from the community. And I know just to give a quick plug on that, why would you be a sponsor? I can say, when being a sponsor at ngConf this year, like we had so many people coming up to our booth, talking to us, asking about what we do, and we're able to engage in conversations. And often this is why because we have a booth, I don't actually get to see the live version of most talks. I have to watch them on video because I'm engaged and I'm talking with people almost the entire conference. So we also had a question there on MCs. We do have MCs selected, and we're about ready to announce those. But I don't have that ready for you guys yet. But
cool.
I'm really excited. One of them might have been a speaker from last year, so at Angular Denver. So
nice. And I guess one more question.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to do ngAir episode there? Will there be a room that we can do that?
Absolutely. Right. Do you want to do it in the, if you get here early enough, we can do it in the booth, do a pre deal, and then we can do one there as well. Would absolutely love it. I really loved what we did at ngConf this year, where we did a podcast up on stage during lunch and had that recorded, and it worked absolutely beautiful. So maybe we can look at doing something like that. So I would love to have you there to do the ngAir stuff and get a live broadcast. That would be awesome.
Awesome. We'll definitely coordinate something. Sounds good.
All right.
Out of today's attendees on the show, we have 2 of us are definitely going to be there, potentially Austin as well. And of course, you'll be welcome to join too, Jesse.
Yeah. Awesome. I would love to be there.
I don't know, Mike. Did you clear that through everybody else? Okay, yeah, for sure. You're totally welcome. Absolutely.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's get to some picks, and then we'll call it a wrap. Let's do some picks. So, Austin, you want to start, or Mike? Do I need to start with you?
Visual Studio Online or Visual Studio Code Online.
we have an issue with people stealing picks from other people, so I don't know.
How was I stealing that? I didn't even know.
This one is not a stolen pick. That's fine.
All right, go ahead, Austin.
I forgot the other one. No, seriously. Framer X. I don't know if any of you guys have checked that out, but Framer X is a really awesome tool. It's a little more on the design side, but it's basically kind of like Sketch or something like that, and they're really rolling out some cool stuff for it. So big pick for me.
Cool. Mike?
My turn. Okay. My pick is a little bit odd. Is that go watch videos online. So ngConf was last week. Build from Microsoft was this week. I/O from Google was this week as well. Go check out a lot of the videos. There's been a lot of really cool things announced and talked about and discussed, and you can really curate some decent playlists to watch quite a few helpful videos. So go check out new things.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely second that one. We've got a big like 70-inch TV in the dining area, the kitchen area of our office, and it's just all week long has just been playing ngConf videos. There's so much to learn, and even if you saw the talk, to hear it again and be able to garner some more information from that, and dig into the details. Gosh, so much great stuff. My pick is Angular Denver, though. No, in all seriousness. Probably my pick this week is Percy.io. So doing visual testing. So as I talked earlier, I'm headed over to London to do a talk on this. I'm very excited about this product. My last pick would be LogRocket. So if you haven't looked at LogRocket, if you're doing anything in the NGRX Redux world, LogRocket will open up a WebSocket and take your actions and record those, and also do some screen capture stuff. You're getting some hover, where the mouse is at. You're getting to see some interactions, and what allows us to do is when we get an error, something's occurred, that we can actually recreate what a user was doing, and also then get the data from that so that we can replay it and be able to see exactly what happened and be able to fix it. So the bad news, Brocky, is that if you use this, you won't be able to say it works on my machine.
I don't know why that's directed at me.
I just had to randomly pick a person. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
But it usually doesn't even work on my machine.
Right.
Nice. Very nice. All right. Well, next week, and you mentioned Stephen Fluen earlier. He's our guest next week. Going to give us an update on the latest and greatest with Angular. So it should be pretty cool for next week. But
hound him about coming to Angular Denver.
Yes. Now that we have that, need here, we'll make sure that gets plugged into that episode as well. Awesome. So awesome. All right, Jesse. Hey, thanks a ton for taking the time to come on the episode, share your time with us, give us information about Angular Denver and everything you're doing with that. Really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the time. It's always great to hang out with great friends, and I consider all of you friends, and I'm really excited to see all of you. Austin, you too. We're going to figure out a way to get you there. We might have to MC one of the days, right? I don't know what this looks like, but it's always great hanging out.
I don't think I would wish anyone on that, or wish anyone to hear me MC.
I know you'd do a great job. It'd be awesome. It'd be a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. That's a wrap. We will catch everyone next time. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care, guys.